All right, what's up, nerds? Welcome back to the All Things Nerd podcast. We're your host this week. I'm Jake.
I'm Chad. This week we are sponsored by Crybaby Craig's.
We're also sponsored this week by Ray's Energy Drinks.
This week we will be talking about Loki episode 3.
And then we'll also be talking about the new Shang-Chi trailer number 2 that dropped, as well as we're going to talk about probably one of our favorite X-Men films to round out the series with Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. So let's get into it. This is the All Things Nerd podcast.
Nerd.
Oh, you're bringing it back. Okay.
All right, welcome back, nerds, to another weekly episode of the All Things Nerd podcast. Your weekly dive into, well, all things nerd. It's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. So, Jake, how was your week?
My week has been pretty good. I work 9 to 5. Well, not 9 to 5. I work a 9 to 5, but it's actually 7 to 4. But so other than work, just been chilling. Today, me and the girlfriend went and got tattoos. I did get a tattoo. If I can bend that far. Inspired by my Maja because she loves bees. So I got a pretty cool bees tattoo. How about you, dude?
Well, I still live in Ohio, so
yeah,
there's that. But other than that, it's humid as shit right now. You know how like when you turn on the shower and let the water run so it gets warm, but you made it slightly too hot, so it's just like steamy in there. Yeah. That's what it's like to walk outside right now. It's just so fucking humid. So that sucks. But I did make a pretty big decision. I am starting my transition into going plant-based. Yeah, don't. No. I'm glad I cut you off there.
I cut myself off there. But yes.
That's not something to joke about, Jake. But I'm going to go plant-based.
Yeah.
Or at least like 98% plant-based. I'm not going to stop myself from having, like real cheese on occasion, or if I'm desperately craving a steak and there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
But
this is really exciting for me because for going on 2 years now, I've been, veganish, trying to be vegan.
Yeah.
Once, like you said, once in a great while, there's cheese or something gets you, and you give into it.
And I love sushi, so like,
yeah,
once in a great while,
Yeah.
And I'm sure that over time, just like I'm sure with you also, you just kind of stop craving those things anyways.
Well, you just find alternatives that are just as good. Like you found that queso that's made out of, what kind of nut was it made out of?
It was mostly almonds.
Yeah, we made
almonds and cauliflower, basically.
We made quesadillas a couple weeks ago. You saw the picture on my Instagram, and they were phenomenal. And we put queso in it too, and it was like, I think, cashew pistachio. No, cashew queso. It was really good, and like you couldn't even tell the difference, and it didn't come from an animal at all. It was super good.
Yeah,
and just figure that shit out as you go. Yeah. So I'm excited for you.
I'm really excited too. This particular queso kind of tastes more like a hummus with a little bit of a cheese flavor, but it's plant-based, so like I can live
love
with it.
Hummus.
I do too. But literally before we started recording this, I was eating some of it and I was like, ooh,
I saw
these crackers and queso sound really good because they're like keto friendly vegan crackers, like no egg products or anything like that.
Right.
And
well, Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Oh, and then I
Before,
started eating it, and I was like, this is more like a hummus, and it's not hitting that craving, so I'm going to stop eating it. But it is
um,
delicious. I do love that queso. I've had it before.
yeah, I did want to. I meant to when I. The whole point of showing my tattoo was to plug the tattoo shop that I normally go to. I've been going to them for a very long time. I got my first tattoo there when I was 18. I'll be 34 in August, and I still go there. So, the Rose of No Man's Land in Woodbury, Minnesota. You guys are fucking killer. I've been tattooed by almost all of you guys. So yeah, thanks for the tattoo today. I'm sure my girlfriend also appreciates her tattoo today. And we will see you guys soon. So
Yeah. No, I know one artist that used to work there. I don't know where he is now. I think he moved out of Minnesota. Because he also tattooed at where I normally go for my tattoo shops.
mhm.
For my tattoo shops. For my tattoos. The shop is called the Seawolf Tattoo Company. And yeah, I mean, the Rose of No Man's Land is... All their artists are great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that bee is super dope. It looks awesome.
Yeah. For those of you who can't see, even when I do this, you really can't see
Oh
it.
yeah, I suppose if you're audio only,
Yeah.
you just
It's,
heard Jake made dad groans and that's it.
I got a bee tattoo on the back of my arm for my mom. I know it's weird, but her and I have been through a lot together. It's kind of weird, but we've had some weird stuff happen in our lives, and yeah, I was gonna get a jellyfish on the back of my arm, and I saw this bee tattoo that was there, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get that instead. So
Yeah,
I did.
it
Yeah.
looks super rad.
So
And
instead of sorry, mom, I'm gonna say I love you, mom, on this episode.
he will apologize later, I'm sure.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, mom. In advance for what's gonna happen later.
Yeah. Yes, I will. I was gonna say reflect that sentiment. I will repeat that sentiment of I love you, mom, but also I'm sorry, mom. Ugh. Now, before we actually get into like the meat of this episode, Jake, let's go ahead and bring in our first sponsor, which is Crybaby Craig's. Fucking phenomenal hot sauce. Pickled habanero and garlic goes on everything. You say it doesn't go on Chinese food.
I feel like I
put it on my fried rice. Literally, was that last night or 2 nights ago? And it was bomb.
Okay. Well,
So
well,
that just means it goes on everything officially.
everything. Yeah.
Officially, it goes on everything now. We've collectively eaten everything, and it goes with everything.
Everything.
But seriously,
I think it's my favorite thing to put Crybaby Craig's hot sauce in, and now we're just overselling it, but in a Bloody Mary, it's so fucking good.
Because it's not just hot sauce. You know, like there's really good flavor to it. Also, you know, it's more than just a hot sauce. If Vin Diesel was right here selling this hot sauce, he'd be like, it's more than just hot sauce. It's family. But also, we love you, Vin Diesel. Come on our show. Yes. I love Vin Diesel. I don't give a shit.
Cool.
Come on our show. Okay. He never will. That's fine. But yeah, so listen up. You'll learn a little bit more about Crybaby Craig's and also where you can find some. Hey, you nerds. Do you love spice? Supporting small businesses? What about enhancing the flavor of your favorite foods? If you said yes to any of those, our good friends over at Crybaby Craig's have the perfect solution for you. Crybaby Craig's is a pickled habanero and garlic hot sauce that goes perfectly with your favorite foods, adding the perfect amount of spice and enhancing the flavor of everything it touches. Started in Minneapolis by Craig back in 2012, Crybaby Craig's has become a Minneapolis and Minnesota staple in the sauce world. So head over to crybabycraigs.com and order yours today.
All right, guys. So let's get into Loki episode 3. This show has not disappointed from finish or from finish to start, or from start to finish doesn't make sense either because we're only
halfway through it.
Yeah, that was a dumb thing to say, but yeah,
you're dumb.
Since it started, you're dumb. Since it started, it has not let us down. This show has been phenomenal. Like every episode has been crazy, and this episode followed suit. So.
Yeah, before we actually get into that, though, we do have to throw it out there. Spoiler warning. If you haven't watched it yet, pause this episode, go watch it, come back. We say this every week. And now this show comes out on Wednesdays, so it's like, just watch the next episode also, so you don't have to do this again next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, spoiler alert. You've been warned. It's enough time. Jake, how did this episode start?
Well, basically,
for the most part,
after the episode 2 ending, we see Loki follow Lady Loki. We're going to call her Lady Loki for right now.
We will tell you her actual name later. When
follows her through the portal, and it basically starts with her arriving to where that portal went. A little bit before Loki, and she fucks shit up.
Yeah, well, where did she go? I mean, she went to the TVA.
Yeah, and she the first thing she does is go to use her magic on somebody, and magic doesn't work in the TVA, and she didn't know that, so she goes to use it, and the guy's like, and then attacks her, and she like smiles. And fucking
just murks the dude.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like he shoves her and then pulls out his disco stick. And by disco stick, I did not mean Dioc. I mean his. He did. I mean, maybe a little. Maybe that's what he's happy about. Who knows? Sorry, Mom. No, but he pulls out like his little glow stick of destiny to. Avengers throwback there to disintegrate her. She immediately disarms him and just fucking yeets him to oblivion.
To oblivion. I love the word. Loki shows up.
Well, I mean, don't graze over the fact that she beats the shit out of like 10 dudes.
I was gonna say, she clears the room out of like 10 people.
And disintegrates 8 of them.
It basically shows like she's like a badass. Even without her magic, she's a badass.
Yeah, she's skilled in combat. She's she is a badass. Yeah. It's that simple. But yeah, so then Loki shows up through the portal because he's following her, but he's a few seconds behind, whatever. And where the portal is in like the locker bay.
Yeah.
That you see earlier, and you see one of the TVA agents, I forget her name, I'm so sorry, basically takes away Loki's knives and puts them in her locker, so he gets them back.
Yeah.
But there's still some missing time there, so I mean, we'll get into it later, but I'm pretty sure that he did not just steal his knives back. But I mean, just because we're right there on the timeline, he catches up with her. Loki catches up with Lady Loki, and then who shows up?
Ravonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's basically Lady Loki. Basically, well, before that, hold on. Before that, you kind of see Loki kind of toying with Lady Loki a little bit. And not really trying to. He's like, we could team up. We don't have to be against each other. And she's kind of tossing him around a little bit. And then he kind of stops. And he's like, okay, that's enough. And basically she goes stab him. And he grabs her. And he's just that's enough of that. Fucking chill the fuck out. And right when he does that, Ravonna shows up. And is like, hey, stop, or whatever. And then Lady Loki puts a knife to Loki's throat and is like, come any closer and I'll kill him. And she's like, yeah, fucking do it.
Yeah, I don't care. He was literally we only kept him alive so that he could find you.
Yeah.
And now you're here, so like, fucking do it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah.
And then they escape basically because Loki opens another portal directly below them on the floor, so they just like fall through it, whatever.
Yeah.
And they end up on a planet on the brink of
destruction, because that's where Lady Loki was hiding, is on apocalyptic events.
Yeah.
So it was already set to an apocalyptic event, and Loki, not knowing how to use the Tempad, really sent them.
Which is the thing that opens the portals.
Yeah.
That's the first time we've said the word Tempad, so people are like,
sorry.
What?
So he brings them to a doomed planet.
And it's like one of the worst apocalypses that she's ever been to, because like it's not just like a severe storm where, you know, a bunch of people die in a general area. Like the entire planet just gets tabled.
Yeah. Yeah. So, sorry, I'm gonna chew this ice. You talk. Sorry.
Okay. But other things that like happened throughout this episode, you know, we're kind of gonna jump around on the timeline of this episode. We do get a really important scene. So basically, you know, Lady Loki. Well, first off, he keeps like calling her Loki.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's not me. Like, stop calling me that. And he's like, well, what should I call you? And then she tells him her name. It is Sylvie. So if you tuned into our last live stream, you know, that was one of the trivia questions. Like, what was the female version of Loki's name in the comics? And it was Sylvie. In this, she's just saying it's like an alias instead of being...
Because he calls it... Well, first he calls her Loki. She's like, don't call me that. That's not my name. And he goes, okay, variant. And she's like, that's not my name either.
Yeah, don't call me
That's not my name.
That's not my name.
But yeah, so our suspicions were correct last week.
Yeah.
Sylvie.
Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Only not really. It had to be done. But yeah, so we get to hear her name, but they basically find their way onto a train that's going from like the outskirts of town into like a town center so that they can try and get on a ship that
is leaving
the planet, but also to recharge the Tempad that they use to create a portal, because the battery is dying like a cell phone.
Yeah.
And there's some like comical relief like about the Tempad and how it's dying, and Loki's like, you know, I'm pretty tech savvy, and then a little bit later like he points out like a neon sign on like a tavern and is like, would that charge it?
Yeah.
And Sylvie's like, no.
Yeah. No, she said at first she goes and checks it. She goes,
well, she does it to trick him.
Yeah, she's trying to get the Tempad from him so she could like ditch him, and she was like, oh, I think this will work. Give me the Tempad. And he's like, nah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give it to you.
And she was like, well, it was worth a try. You're fucking dumb for thinking that this thing could charge
something that opens portals between time and space.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
But there's been speculation for a long time that Loki is not just an ally of the LGBTQ community, but actually a member of it.
Yeah.
And it's confirmed.
Yeah.
He is he's bisexual.
Yeah.
And it's just through like conversation with Sylvie. They're starting to trust each other a little bit, enough to like, you know,
talk about it, I guess.
Talk about, you know, who they are in their timelines, at least to some degree. And she brings up the point of like, so you were Prince of Asgard. There must have been plenty of little princesses or other princes. And he's like, yeah, a bit of both.
I assume the same for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a very subtle moment, but on top of it just being incredibly important for representation.
Well, it's a female who directs the show, and she is
bisexual
openly bisexual. Yeah, so
yeah. But on top of that, also like this episode aired. I mean, we're recording this. Well, I guess Wednesday when it comes out is still technically June because the first is on Thursday, so it is still Pride Month also. So like on top of that, like it's a big moment because in the comics there is a wide variety of LGBTQ members that are represented, but
not just in Marvel either. I mean, not just in Marvel either. One of the first appearances of a gay comic book character was, and this is way off topic, and we didn't talk about this before this. I'm sorry, but was and I did not research this before the episode, so I don't know his comic book name because I did not plan on saying this. But before Hal Jordan ever played Green Lantern, there was a male gay character who played a version of Green Lantern. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. I could look it up. I'm going to look it up. You talk. I'll look it up.
Was it Stewart?
I don't know. You talk. I'll look it up.
Stewart. Stewart. Sorry. Pitter patter. That was a reference within a reference. But yeah, I mean, so like that's incredibly important, but also we get to see how much Loki loved and respected his mom during the same conversation, during the same scene, because he's talking with Sylvie, because she said that, someone taught him fairly decent magic.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it was my mother that taught me. And, they get to talking about it, and all that, but you get to see that, like, how big of an influence his mother was on him, even though he was adopted, even though he pretty, to a large degree, resented his family growing up, except for his mother.
Yeah.
It was just pretty cool.
Which we see in the first... Oh, by the way, his name is Alan Scott, Green Lantern, the gay Green Lantern. Yeah. Sorry. Which, going back to Loki now, we get to see in the first episode, Mobius shows Loki that when Loki sent the Dark Elves in Thor 2 up the stairs, he directly sent them to his mom, which ended in her death. So this version of Loki is kind of dealing with that guilt, and we get to see a little bit of that. And like when he's talking about her, he's like very sad because he knows that he killed his mom, basically.
Yeah. Which is super messed up.
Yeah.
But also, so they're on a train that's being transported, and they have time to kill. And so Sylvie eventually just falls asleep, and Loki decides to just do what we do and just get drunk. Which leads to a really fun throwback or nod to the original Thor film. Is Loki finishes his cocktail, he's like, this is good, another, and then he slams the glass down and it shatters. A throwback to when Thor tries coffee for the first time in the first Thor film. Yeah.
It's like, I like this drink, I'll have another. Bam. And Natalie Portman's like, what are you doing? And he's like, what? I liked the drink.
I thought it was Darcy that called him out on it, but
one of the and he's like, what? I liked it. It was a compliment. Yeah.
But so basically, sorry. Finish what you were gonna say.
I just said that was fucking hilarious. That's all I said. Yeah, you go.
So they're on the train. The people working, I guess, the security, the police of the planet, You know, just Team America up in there. No, they look more like Starfleet based on their sweaters and their weird helmets.
Their helmets were weird, though.
Yeah. It was like a super... It was like the crappy Tron reboot. Like the motorcycle helmets.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a weird... I don't know. But they come in there like... Because they're being obviously like... Loki for sure is being like disruptive and disorderly. So they come in to check for their tickets. And Loki, being drunk, tries to use his magic to like make fake tickets. And instead just like shoots fireworks out of his hands. And then a badass fight breaks out.
Yeah. Which
is just, I mean, it's awesome. But it ends with Loki getting thrown off the train through a window.
Through a window that he previously threw to somebody else out, which was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sylvie is like, oh, he has the temp pad. So she like runs and jumps out the window after him.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
I said, oh, sorry, because we both went, at the same time. There's kind of a moment. Well, first it takes a minute because she's like, you know, give me the fucking temp pad, I'm gonna kill you. And he's like, fine, here it is. And he pulls it out, and it's busted into a million pieces. She gets pissed.
I have a theory about that, though. And I didn't tell you about this before we started recording.
I think Nicole has the same theory. Go ahead.
I don't think the temp pad's broken.
Same. That was Nicole's theory, too. She goes, can't he manipulate shit like that and make it look like it? He probably is doing that. Like...
Yeah, because every time that she's asked for the temp pad, he said no.
Yeah.
And then this time he's like, yeah, okay, here you go.
Yeah, just here it is. Oh, no, it's broken.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's the cups. Oh, it's going super bad. Oh, no, it's the cups.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we don't think it is broken either. I think he's playing a game because that's what Loki does.
Yeah, because I think that also, even though that they have bonded and he has like a somewhat of a connection with Sylvie, I think that he's more connected to Mobius.
Yeah.
So I think he's trying to make it work and make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Because he still is, I mean, he's trying to prove himself, you know, throughout this entire show so far. But so then they decide that instead, since the temp pad, quote unquote, is broken, it very well might be. We could be completely wrong on this.
Yeah, but, totally. That's a theory.
But so they decide, well, they have to get off the planet because it's about to just, you know, put on a red shirt from Star Trek and see what happens. For those of you that never watched Star Trek, if someone's wearing a red shirt, you know they're going to die.
Especially if they're not one of the main characters.
Yeah.
Because they'd be like, you know, like on the bridge, like, hey, we have to go down to this planet. And it'd be like Kirk, Spock, Chekhov, and then some fucking dude you've never heard of before. And a Family Guy made fun of this, too. Yeah. And, like, the guy that they never heard of before, he just goes, like, in Family Guy, they're like, it's Kirk. And he's like, Spock, Chekhov, with me. And you. And the guy's like, like, fuck.
Oh, that's hilarious though. I don't remember that like side scene. But so they end up on the like in the city. They're gonna try and steal the ship to get off the planet because in the normal timeline the ship never makes it off the planet. It always gets destroyed.
So they're like, if we make it to this ship before it gets destroyed, we could take it and get out of here.
Yeah, and, you know, more and more asteroids and meteors from the moon that has exploded is crashing into the planet. Get a really cool, like, chase/destruction scene of Sylvie and Loki just, like, running through the city. jumping into like restaurants and bars. Yes, what?
I was pointing at you because there's a point you wanted to make.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't want you to skip past it, so I was just I was trying to not talk about it and trying to gesture to you. Apparently, we're not on that communication level where we can talk without talking. So
Ohio blocks that mental pathway that we have. It makes it really difficult. But so they're like running through the streets. They're also trying to fight the police because they're trying to like get past the barrier to get on the ship to take it off.
Basically, the ship is full of rich people, and all the poor people are being left behind to die.
What a not this podcast.
What an actual thing that would happen.
Yeah, who would have thought that that's something that's real? And I mean, no, capitalism helps everybody. Probably I should say sorry, Mom, there too, based on political values. I love my mom though. But anyway, so they're running through the street. A meteor just like blows through like a high rise basically, and it starts to fall towards Sylvie and Loki, and Loki's like, I got this, and he like turns around and like freezes it, and then it reverses and goes back to its standing point.
Yeah.
And some people, I mean, you even said your girlfriend Nicole was like, does Loki have those powers? And you're like, not normally.
Yeah.
And what I saw was before he stops it, he crosses his arms, but his back is to us, so we can't see like the hand gestures that he's doing. But his back is to us. He crosses his arms, straightens his arm out, and then his hands, again conveniently, are now off screen, so we can't see what his hands look like while he's doing this. But it is very reminiscent of Doctor Strange when he uses the Eye of Agamotto, which has a time stone in it. As we know, Loki was unsupervised in the TVA at the start of this episode.
That's how he got his knives back.
That's how he got his knives back. And they had a surplus of paperweights / Infinity Stones that have no power there from various timelines. But the second that you leave the TVA,
they're powerful again.
Yeah, the Infinity Stones hold weight and power again.
Yeah.
So my guess is that he stole probably
a lot of them.
Some poor dude's paperweight, or several of them, and that's how he was able to stop it and reverse it. Yeah. Because it wasn't just like he used his. Because we also get to see him like throw like energy blast and like throw people around. But
it's not one of his normal powers.
Yeah, and the building didn't like fall, stop, and then get pushed to the side so it didn't land on them. It literally went back upright to how it was and looked like it had never been struck.
Yeah.
But basically, even though through this entire like chase scene, through the city, fight scene, chase, whatever, it's kind of like a mix of all of it.
Yeah.
The ship to get off of the planet still gets hit with a meteor and it explodes, and that's basically how the episode ends.
Yeah.
Is they're just like staring at it.
They're stranded now.
They're stranded, and it literally shows just like Loki standing as like dust fills the streets and like blows past him, and he's just standing, and you see like Sylvie walking away,
yeah, because now they think they're doomed.
Yeah. And you have a theory about what might happen.
Do I? Did I tell you this?
Yeah, about Mobius.
Oh yeah. I was like, do I?
Do I?
I mean, it just makes sense. Like you said, I'm like all over the place right now. What you said is that he could potentially still have the TemPad and be like, hey, I was holding out on you. I have this thing. Let's get out of here. Or Mobius might find them like last second and get them out of there. And then Sylvie and Loki would be in the custody of the TVA. And and that could be interesting to see how that goes down too. I was kind of bummed to not see any Owen Wilson in an episode.
Yeah,
Only
I
a
miss him.
6 episode series. I wanted some Owen Wilson,
Yeah.
but yeah. So,
Also,
oh shit, we missed a huge one.
what was it?
The fucking so Loki and Sylvie are talking about the TVA and the people who work for the
Oh
TVA.
yeah.
Yeah, and she mentions that how she is able to control people is by pulling memories from their past. And Loki says to her basically that the TVA says that they're created by the timekeepers, and she's like, no, that's not true. All of those people had lives before they were in the TVA. And Loki's like, what? They don't know that. And
Yeah,
so
they're
that
basically
means,
all variants.
yeah, so basically Mobius and everybody that works for the TVA were not created by the timekeepers like they think they were, which takes a little bit of a step in the direction of my theory from last week that Kang is
Manipulating everything.
controlling everything. And this, if you guys remember when we were talking about WandaVision, which was the first of the TV series to come out, Chad and I also had a theory that ran the whole season, and it was wrong.
And we got more and more hints as that show went on, so we could still be fucking wrong.
Yeah, we could be very wrong about this, but this is where we're going with it, and yeah, so
it's setting up for the TVA and the timekeepers to actually be the real villains.
Well, and then Chad had a theory about why, because of that, why Mobius is infatuated with jet skis is because he had a life before the TVA, and he probably had a jet ski.
And that's like the one thing that he held on to.
Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out. These are just theories, but
this would be the ultimate, because it's kind of been confirmed that we will not get a Owen Wilson. Wow.
They could have done it in episode 2 when he's telling Loki to not run through the portal. Loki looks back at him and then goes to the portal anyway, and it closes. They totally could have had Owen Wilson stop and be like, wow. Like, you fucking put all this faith in you, and you just fucking left us. Wow.
So the original dream end credit scene that I wanted for the show was like something like an epic cliffhanger, and like Owen Wilson is watching it happen, and then he's about to say wow, and then he like opens his mouth and goes wow, and then it cuts to black. One of our listeners, who is one of our newer listeners actually, who is tuned in for our last live stream, she gave a way better tease for an Owen Wilson wow. Was that just like as a kind of like a goofy end credit scene, basically, is Owen Wilson finally gets to ride a jet ski, and he's about to say wow because he's enjoying it, and he just goes wow, and then it cuts out.
Yeah,
but he's on a jet ski, which would be so much better.
Yeah, with Loki on the back of the jet ski, like hands around the waist,
just kind of like
into the sunset.
Yeah, I'd be okay with either of those.
I'd be good with that too.
Because the director, I can't remember her name, and I feel terrible because this is the second time that we've referenced her on the episode. She said that there's not a scene where Owen Wilson says wow.
I don't know if I'm saying her last name right. It's Kate Herron. It's spelled Herron. Kate Herron. Kate Herron.
Herron.
Sorry.
I would assume Heron because that's how the bird is spelled, or pronounced. But yeah, she said that there's not a scene where Owen Wilson says wow. But we could be lying because it's the MCU. They throw out Mr. X all the time, or it could just be You know, we get
True.
Age of Ultron
Yeah.
with Captain America going, Avengers, black. Boom.
Yeah, so that being said, I think we're gonna get into our second sponsor here and tell you a little bit about that. Our second sponsor is Raise Energy Drinks.
Energy drinks.
Energy drinks. Raise
Whip
Energy Drinks.
Lash.
Zero sugar, zero crash, zero something else.
Calories, yeah.
Calories, yeah. But it's fucking good. I've got a bunch of it right here, like to my right. I can't reach my camera or I'd show you guys, but yeah, it's super good. Listen up and we'll tell you a little more about it.
All right, perfect.
What's up, nerds? I wanted to take a minute to talk to you about Raise Energy.
I forgot what the other one was. I didn't write it
energy
down.
drink that provides
zero sugar,
max energy
zero
with
calories,
zero crash.
Zero crash.
Yeah.
Raise Energy takes a giant leap of faith with instilling a high-quality formula to bring a powerful yet sustained, energetic experience to help you push your workouts and focus
we
to
just
the
hit
next
43
level.
minutes, and we
Perfect
wasted
for
like 2
anyone
minutes
at
before
any
we
time,
actually started,
empowered
so
by
we're
their
like 40
refresh
minutes.
formula technology. Raise Energy delivers a
10 minutes on
performance-enhancing
Logan,
energy drink
5
that aids
minutes on
in multiple
Shang-Chi,
different
plug our
categories
shit,
that include
and then
targeted
we'll be good.
focus,
Yeah,
better recovery time, improved
I think a
clean
lot of
energy
it is my
levels,
fault, but,
and a boost in stamina and hydration.
At the closeout
But
of
most
the
importantly,
episodes,
every can of Raise
we've
Energy
been
has
just kinda, like,
absolutely
dragging
0
it.
calories, 0 sugar,
and
and
it's
0
because I repeat
carbohydrates
myself
to
a
give
lot
you a
at the end
smarter
of the
and
episode.
healthier option.
Yeah, it's all good.
So don't settle for an
But,
energy
so,
drink that
I mean,
contains more sugar and carbohydrates
I do
than
have
you
to
can
pee.
count.
Okay.
But we
Instead,
have to let this
head over
record
to
for another 20 seconds, and
repsports.com.
I'll stop
That's
it. And then we
REPPORTS.com
can
and use the promo
get back
code
into it, or if you wanna do,
NERDPODCAST
like,
at
a
checkout
happy,
for
or
15%
do
off.
it.
I need to top off my cocktail.
Or if you
so
don't know what you
I
want,
Yeah,
just
go
we
ahead
can
and
do
click
We
the
can do
link
a
that's in
happy.
the
I'm down for
description
that.
to get a $50 sample
Just
pack
FaceTime me when
for
you're done
free.
pee. I gotta pee too.
All you do
So,
is you
okay.
cover the cost of shipping.
Um,
Again, make sure you use promo code NERDPODCAST at checkout to let them know that we sent you.
All right, guys. So we're going to kind of put a wrap on our not that. We're gonna put a sorry, that was a terrible joke. We're gonna put a wrap on our segment where we've been talking about the X-Men films. We're gonna talk about Logan just for a brief minute, and good God, this is
Possibly one of the best in the franchise.
It is the best as an overall story,
Yeah.
but it's not the best X-Men film, you know?
Because it's not really an X-Men film. It's like a branch off X-Men film.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that for character development, emotional like ties, and just overall storytelling, this is hands down
probably one of the best like send-offs for a character ever.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And that means no disrespect to the MCU with both Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. But fuck, dude, this is so good.
So good.
It ended a 17-year long
18
year, my bad, damn,
Sorry.
Run for Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
And it might not totally be done
He might come back.
for a cameo in Multiverse of Madness is what.
I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. But anyways, this movie Logan is fucking badass. I mean, right off the bat, this movie has a R rating, which is huge. After the success of the Deadpool movies, Fox was like, okay, we can make a R-rated Wolverine movie. And they did. And it did not disappoint in everything that you want from a guy with metal claws cutting people's heads off. It fucking...
Yeah.
The opening scene of the movie...
Well, so first, before we explain, this takes... Even with it being 2021, it takes place in, what, 2035?
49.
49. Okay. So it's based in the future.
Yeah.
But not like a super... It's a very realistic depiction of a future that's 28 years away.
Yeah.
But so it kind of takes a lot of inspiration and story development from the Old Man Logan comic books. So Logan is old, he's sick, he's not a prime fighter anymore.
From the very thing that they put in his body, because Wolverine's mutant power is not his claws. His mutant power is that he has regeneration abilities.
Well, I mean, the claws are, but they were bone claws. But the adamantium that they put into him,
is poisoning him. At this point in his life,
and weakening his mutant abilities to heal.
Yeah.
And good God, I mean, So it starts off. He's trying to save a bunch of money to retire with him and Charles Xavier, Professor X. But so Logan drives a limo. He's a glorified Uber driver. Literally. Like,
he's also an alcoholic, which is, I mean, he's kind of always been an alcoholic, but
now he does it because he's sad.
In this future, all of the X-Men are dead. Everyone died.
Yeah, basically, the X-Men themselves died from something tragic, So Xavier...
We can say it. We can say it. We're not going in a timeline here. We can just say it.
So
the last one.
Xavier has Alzheimer's or dementia, basically, and because of that, with having such a powerful brain, where his telepathic... He's not telekinetic, he's telepathic. Those telepathic abilities can literally just, like, melt your brain.
And we know from past movies that Professor Xavier is able to focus on an entire group of people. And basically what happens is he wipes out
he has a dementia or an Alzheimer's episode, coupled with, like, a seizure, basically. And they show it a couple of times throughout the movie, and basically all the... Because how he can, like, freeze people. He basically takes that to the extreme, and it kills people. But he can't. He can't control it because he has a degenerative disease that is eating his brain, basically.
So he accidentally wiped out most of the mutants.
For sure. For sure, the X-Men, because it was a regional thing.
Yeah, for sure the X-Men, but mutants in general are, like, not as...
That was because of, was it Transient? The company that Boyd works for? They basically created, to stop the mutant gene from passing, they started putting, basically, a medicine that would kill the mutation, in your DNA in food.
It was wild. The movie was wild. But you don't really get let down. I mean, the kill scenes are like Wolverine fucking decapitating people and blood and, like, I mean, cutting heads off and shit. It's insane. It was a lot of fun.
And we also get introduced into some young New Mutants. Just kidding.
But that movie sucked.
This could have been the New Mutants also. They could have just taken their story and continued it for the New Mutants, and it would have been 1,000 times better.
They should have done that.
But they didn't.
They didn't.
They fucked up. But basically, the only mutants that exist outside of Charles Xavier, Logan, and Caliban, which is he can track mutants and find them.
We see him in Apocalypse. Played by a different person, but...
but I always forget this actor's name that they had play him. He's a comedian. And
Stephen Merchant.
Steve Merchant. And he fucking killed it.
Yeah.
Like, the casting throughout this entire movie is on point.
Yeah.
But we find out that the only mutants that exist have been basically cloned from the DNA of mutants that had been hunted and killed.
Yeah.
Or hunted and tested on, like in Logan's case, because basically we find out that he has a daughter, but it's through cloning.
Yeah. Laura,
or in the comics, X-23.
X-23.
Instead of 3 claws in the hands, she has 2 in the hands and one in each foot, which is super cool. And
yeah, and she's a fucking badass.
Xavier even explains why.
Yeah,
because that was just a evolutionary
female
trait. Because like in lions, the female lions use their feet a lot when fighting. So since she happened to be a female, that trait was part of it. It was just an evolutionary thing, it was cool. Because so this movie is so grounded in a more realistic timeline.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still mutants and stuff like that, but
yeah. Basically, the movie is. We're just gonna synopsis it real quick. Is the girl is escaped from the facility that is like trying to use her and other kid mutants as weapons, and one of the nurses from the place sneaks her out, and they're seeking Wolverine out for help.
Well, they free a bunch of them, but so the idea is that Laura and the nurse caregiver are seeking out Wolverine or Logan to bring them to meet up with the rest of the released and escaped children mutants.
Yeah. So it's like a road trip movie, but rated R and very gory. So
fantastic.
Yeah. We get introduced to X-24. I'm trying to fly through this. I don't want to spend too much time on this. So,
yeah, but X-24, it's literally just like a perfect clone of Wolverine.
But weaponized.
Yeah, with basically no prefrontal cortex. He basically just takes orders and has animal instincts, and that's it.
Yeah. The first time that Wolverine and X-24 fight is insane. X-24... You get like this. Xavier thinks that Wolverine is like being like a dick to him, and he's like, "You hate me. You're waiting for me to die." But then what you find out is that really Xavier killed the X-Men, and Wolverine is trying to like get him onto a boat and like just get away from people and just live out their lives. And Xavier is like, "I see you for what you are. I'm so sorry," and blah blah blah. But he's actually talking to X-24. And X-24 puts his hand on his chest and then just fucking claws out.
Cancels his subscription to life.
Yeah. Kills him. And then obviously Wolverine fucking loses his shit. And they fight each other for the first time, which is brutal. Brutal. It's a brutal fight.
Yeah, X-24 kind of has an upper hand until Charles, Laura, and Logan are staying with just people that they literally met like on the side of the road.
Yeah.
That they helped earlier in the film. So they like offered them like, housing so that they didn't have to keep driving to Canada. And the father of that family, who also had to watch a clone of the person that he just like put into his house, just
murder his wife,
destroy his family.
Son. Yeah.
So he drives a truck into X-24, into a tractor or something like that. It like something with like him.
Something that like impaled him. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that would have been the end of Logan there.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's not it. Laura and Logan get out of there. They bury Charles. Hugh Jackman has a phenomenal scene right after he buries Charles, because the
shovel.
Well, yeah, and then he like goes back to the truck that they've been driving, and just has like an emotional breakdown, and just is beating the shit out of the truck, hurting himself while doing it because he's sick, he's injured, and he's emotional and sad and broken. And
he's not healing anymore at this point.
It's super slow. He basically heals slightly faster than a human, and can take slightly more damage than a human and still function.
So after fighting X-24, he is fucking cut up, dude.
Yeah.
He's bad. He's in rough shape.
But, I mean, he literally, like, beats the shit out of this pickup truck with a shovel, and then is just, like, screaming in the street, just, fuck, 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 over and over until he just, like, passes out from pain.
Yeah.
Eventually, Laura gets him medical help. She takes him to a vet, which is not the first. It's not the first time he's been saved by a
Wolverine, vet. He goes to the vet too. Yeah, that was good. But yeah, she basically, Laura tells him, "Hey, you gotta take me to this fucking place," and he's like, "It doesn't fucking exist. This isn't real." Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, "Take me there." And he's like, "No." And she hits him. So one of my favorite parts in the movie, she punches him like right in the fucking nose. And he just goes like, "Don't fucking hit me." And she just starts screaming at him in Spanish. And he's like, "Hey, I'm fucked up. I can't take you here." And she's like, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, "Fine. Fuck you. Fine. I'll take you there."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I'm trying to move through this as fast as we can.
Yeah, but
they get there.
Yeah, they get there. There's a bunch of children mutants, and they have basically organized amnesty, to cross into Canada and get protection because of it, which leads to a wild fight. So we get to see these kids in action, using their powers. So we get a lot of like. There's a kid that has a lot of like Bobby Drake or Iceman's abilities. Yeah. We get some of like Storm's abilities with like lightning. It's super awesome, but there's an ultimate showdown between Logan and X-24.
X-24, yeah.
And Logan's losing.
Yeah.
And a thing that we kind of breezed over was basically Logan now carries an adamantium bullet on him at all times.
Single bullet, yeah.
Literally just to like murk himself. Yeah. But Laura finds the bullet. She talks to him about it. He's like, I was going to kill myself. And this entire time, like, she's trying to like build a connection with him because she sees him as her father because genetically he is. But she takes the adamantium bullet and just ends everything going on with X-24. Just blows his brains out.
Yeah.
But Logan
but not before X-24 fucks Wolverine up and then literally picks him up and slams him down on a tree spike like the size, like the width of a basketball, and like not literally that big. It was pretty big. It was probably like
huge,
right through the middle of his chest, and Wolverine dies. Not to sugarcoat it.
He's dying.
Yeah, but you mentioned this when we talked about the Wolverine weeks and weeks and weeks ago. I'll let you take it from here, but this is a huge scene, and we said that we would talk about it later. Yeah, and this is later, so go.
So, with that,
bring up the Wolverine.
So in the Wolverine, Yukio, who is the mutant that can see into the future, but she only sees people's deaths. She tells Wolverine that she sees him dying. He's laying on his back. There's blood everywhere, and he's holding his own heart. They kind of played off in the Wolverine, where like he's laying on his back, he kind of like dies for a second, and his hand is like inside of himself, like holding his heart, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he heals and comes back. But in this, he is on his back. He's been impaled. He's not healing. There's blood everywhere. And Laura runs up to him, grabs his hand, is trying to like comfort him and talk to him, try and keep him awake, you know, long enough to try and do something to help him. And she's calling him like dad. Oh my god, when she called him dad, I fucking cried. I'm not gonna lie, I cried in this movie.
It's a sad movie, yeah. Yeah, so he literally died covered in blood
on his back,
holding his heart in his hand.
Because he even says, like, before he dies, he's like, so this is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have said, oh, he's talking about death. And he's like, no, he's talking about feeling true love and having a family, because that's her. And
there was a very, very small nod to Yukio in the movie. He has her sword, they cut to it, mounted above like a fireplace in the place where him and Caliban are living.
I did not catch. I never caught that.
Really? Oh man. Well,
no. Fucking A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But so he dies.
There's way better. I again, like Chad said earlier, is Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is one of the most iconic characters, and his send-off was amazing. So was Chris Evans. Whatever.
Not as great, but still good.
Yeah, but Wolverine's send-off. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, 18 years, world record holder. That's a real thing of playing a same character in a movie franchise. 18 years. His send-off was, in my opinion, the best out of of these.
Hands down.
Yeah. And we miss you. Come back, please. Come back. If we can have you back in some weird way, because I just don't.
Even for a cameo, even for something.
Which is so there is speculation or like rumors that in Multiverse of Madness we will see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again, and we'll also see. This is confirmed because before we talked about this earlier on too. So before Robert Downey Jr. was cast as Iron Man, they offered the role to Tom Cruise. So in Multiverse of Madness, we will see Tom Cruise as Tony Stark in a different universe, which I think is pretty fucking cool.
I'm super stoked about that. That's rad.
But what else are we going to talk about, Chad?
We're just going to touch on it very briefly, but Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings did put out their second movie trailer. There's a couple of big things that we want to just touch on. First off, I bet
there's some big things you want to touch on.
Sorry, Mom.
I couldn't help myself.
She's definitely not watching us on YouTube, let alone listening this far into the episode. But honka. First off, we get to see the real Mandarin.
Yeah.
They have adapted what the 10 rings are, because in the comics they're literally just 10 rings,
physical rings that you wear on your hands.
In this, they're like 10 magical bracelets.
Like
what are those? Bangles?
Yeah,
they're called bangles. That give him incredible power, and it goes a little bit more into like that dynamic of, because Shang-Chi, at least in the film, and in some comic iterations, is the son of the Mandarin.
Yeah.
And so we get to see a little bit of that dynamic, how he rejected that life that he was raised in. but we actually get to see the real Mandarin, which is fucking dope because it was teased at the end of Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
That the Mandarin that we got in that, Guy Pearce with a stupid tribal dragon chest tattoo that made no sense for the character. It was just there. Wasn't real. No. He wasn't the real Mandarin. Let's put it that way. But the biggest thing is we actually have like video now of Abomination post the Hulk film,
which I am super happy about because fucking Abomination was from the fucking Hulk film that I liked and everybody else fucking hated with Edward Norton.
I didn't hate the film. I just think I like Mark Ruffalo better as Bruce Banner.
Here's the thing though. This is off topic. We didn't talk about this. Do you think that Hulk now, with like Professor Hulk, could beat Abomination now?
Oh God, no.
No, because without that rage that Hulk brings to the fucking table, he's just a fucking big green guy who takes pictures with little kids in diners.
You make it sound way creepier than what it is. No, the only thing that Professor Hulk has is the ability to use strategy, but also Abomination. He was an SAS. He was a Special Forces military man. He also has strategy because through his Hulk Abomination mutation, whatever.
Yeah.
Also maintained a lot of his intelligence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no longer like a clear advantage from Professor Hulk. But we'll see how it plays out in the She-Hulk TV show.
Yeah. Because he and Hulk are both confirmed to be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it still Tim Roth doing the voicing and stuff like that?
I mean, why spend the money on Tim Roth if you could just alter like some dude's voice? No offense to Tim Roth, but
well, they did that in Endgame and Infinity War. They didn't bring back Hugo Weaving to play Red Skull, so I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, so we get to see, and it looks like, but has not been confirmed. It looks like there's like a cage fight, but it looks like Wong, which is Doctor Strange's like right-hand guy, in a cage fight with Abomination, and Abomination just fucking, because he does the whole Doctor Strange thing.
Yeah, he puts up like the sling ring like shields or whatever.
Yeah, and then just gets blasted against the
and then
fucking
he gets
fence.
Just tossed
by Abomination though, which is pretty badass.
Yeah. I'm not sure that it's Wong. But
it looks like Wong.
Jake and majority of the internet says it's Wong. It just kind of depends on where the storyline takes place. Is it like
it could be a flashback
modern,
for all we know. It could be
yeah. But Shang-Chi is there because they're watching the fight.
It don't matter. We don't know what any of this means. Shang-Chi might not be.
Yeah, Shang-Chi might be. It might have taken place if it.
Yeah, maybe he got blipped away and came back. We don't know what's going on yet.
Yeah, or the fight takes place during the blip, and that's how Wong is trying to like make money to like keep things running and eat.
Could be. We also get a huge fucking crazy cameo by, and you said you want me to say it because but we get to see Fin Fang Foom. We see Shang-Chi underwater. And he is face to face with a dragon, which is pretty fucking badass. Yeah, because there are two dragons that I know about in the MCU. One is the one from Iron Fist, which you said is something.
Shao Lao the Undying.
Shao Lao the Undying, and then Fin Fang Foom. So we're pretty convinced that this is Fin Fang Foom, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, which is super rad. So, I mean, this movie's going to be killer. It's going to be... I mean, it's an MCU film.
Yeah.
Like,
and I just found this
we give them a ton of praise, but, like, they seriously balance comedy, action, everything like they're just great. But what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I just found this out today. So I only have watched a couple episodes of this show. There's a show on, I think it's either Netflix or Hulu, called Kim's Convenience. It's about a Asian family who owns a convenience store, and the guy playing Shang-Chi is from that show. He's one of the main characters.
Oh, really?
Nicole watches the show, and she told me that today, and I've seen a couple episodes of the show, but it was only with her. Yeah, I haven't got into the show, but she told me that, and I was like, oh, he's one of the salesmen from the car dealership, and she's like, yeah, and I was like, holy shit, I did not put that together. Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll have to check out that show too, just because it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Bring
us home, Chad.
Yeah, so that's basically all we want to talk about. So we're gonna go ahead and close out this episode.
But before we do, we have a couple things we want to talk about with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, first things first, shout out to Mary. She's our newest Patreon. So if you guys like what we're doing, we do have a Patreon page where you can give monthly. It's, there's different tiers that you can give at, and it just helps us keep doing what we're doing, because right now, we don't make any money from this. But when you do give at our Patreon page, where the links will be below or in the show notes, you get bonus content. You get access to, a bunch of stuff, as well as some exclusive merch. Depending on the tier that you get, you'll get, we've got coffee mugs on there that even when our web store, which we'll talk about in a second, also starts doing coffee mugs, these will be a different coffee mug.
Yeah.
So there's just stuff that we won't ever put on our web store. Shirts in specific colors that we'll never stock on our actual web store. Just something that you get as a thank you for helping us do what we do.
Yeah.
Speaking of web store, though, Jake, we tell them about some of the stuff we got coming.
Well, we got some keychains coming, which is kind of cool. We also have some new shirts coming. I know that we've talked about this, but we're going to talk about it again. We have 2 new shirts. Well, we have our original shirt coming. We're
restocking those because we sold out of those, which is awesome.
Yeah, and we're also getting some bro tanks with the logo on it, which would be pretty cool.
Just in time for the muggy weather.
Yeah, and we're working on some other stuff, like some bracelets, like Chad said, some coffee mugs, and
probably eventually some shot glasses, because that's kind of a central thing that we do. And then also we want to do hats and hoodies eventually, all of that. So
as it gets a little chillier, we'll probably hold off on the hoodies till temperatures drop. But man, I mean, we say this every week, but we do this for fun. We've exceeded our expectations with what we thought we were going to have for listeners. So we want to thank you guys for helping us do what we're doing. We love you guys. Seriously. And
also guys, if there's something you want us to talk about, interact with us on social media. We just did a live stream. We try and do a live episode once a month.
Thank you guys. Sorry to interrupt you, but thank you guys who tuned into the live stream, because that might have been one of the funnest live streams that we've had.
We didn't finish the game that we set out to play.
There were multiple people that reached out to me or us and told us that hey, that was a lot of fun. You guys should do that more often. And part of what we did was had people try to stump us on questions rather than us trying to stump you guys on trivia questions. So that was pretty fun. It was really interactive, and we even got a fan from the fucking Czech
Republic.
From the
Czech Republic. Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
Also, yeah, shout out to you. You know who you are. I don't know if you want us
Ivy.
to say your name.
We can say your first name.
Yeah.
Ivy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for.
Yeah. Thank you for.
That was a lot of fun.
For becoming a part of the All Things Nerd podcast group here.
Yeah.
And also, you know, she won some merch through some trivia. So, that's another thing, guys. Like, we don't care where you are. Like, if, you know, we will send you stuff. So tune into these live streams. We'll be announcing. Well, so this is episode 21. Next week we will announce something special to give you guys a couple of weeks for our 25th episode.
Yeah.
And then we will be doing another live stream next month. And yeah, we love you guys. Thank you so much for being part of this and letting us do what we do. But with that, this has been the All Things Nerd podcast.